Nonverbal communication can be interpreted in so many different ways. If you are traveling to other countries, know what the signs are. For instance, even simple hand gestures can mean completely different things depending on where you are. Just by looking at this chart, it is easy to see how complicated it can become. In the United States, it is normal for people to hold doors open for others if they are following right behind you, and for that person to say thank you in return. If you don't know something, it is normal to ask questions. You most likely will not be viewed as unintelligent or rude. Saying, "Bless you" when someone sneezes is also a customary act of politeness. Also, if you make direct eye contact with someone nearby, it is polite to say hello or how's it going. If you stand too close to someone when talking to them, they will probably be offended or move away from you. Most people will feel uncomfortable if you get too close. Cutting in front of someone in line is viewed as being extremely rude and inconsiderate. Also, being late to business events will hurt your reputation, as United States business etiquette requires people to show up right on time. Chewing with your mouth open will most likely annoy others around you, so it's best to finish eating before speaking. It is seen as rude or obnoxious, and people who know you personally will most likely tell you to stop.
In Mexico, it is customary to participate in 10 to 15 minutes of small talk before getting down to business. Also, people are skeptical when building professional relationships, so make sure to be as patient as possible. It is greatly appreciated if you attempt to speak in Spanish whenever you can. People will notice your effort and think more highly of you. Remembering little things when talking to others is important as well. Even remembering to say goodbye is very important. You could be viewed as being rude if you forget. Excessively drinking is seen as irresponsible and will make you look childish, so it is important to be conscious of your limits. Showing signs of discomfort when talking to someone who is standing right next to you is viewed as rude. Standing with your hands on your hips will make people think you are angry or irritated, so it's best to avoid this if you don't want that label. Also, showing up on time for social arrangements is not normal. If you show exactly on time, you will definitely be the first one there. It's customary to show up 30 minutes or even up to 2 hours late.
In Italy, it's polite to cover your mouth when you yawn, and maintaining eye contact when talking to someone is very important. If you invite others to go out to eat, it's customary to pay for the meal. Being humorous is also a normal thing to do in any social setting. Also, it is polite to stand up when an older person enters the room you are in. This is seen as being respectful towards your elders. Try to avoid wearing old, torn, or dirty clothes in public. It is important in Italy to be fashionable. Asking personal questions or rushing negotiations in a business setting is considered rude and should be avoided. In Italy, hand gestures are very important, so it's wise to be aware how you are moving your hands around when you talk. Another thing to remember is to wait to leave the table until everyone is finished eating. It is considered very rude otherwise.
In Japan, it is customary to take off your shoes before walking throughout someone's house. Most places have a special area designed for setting your shoes down. It is also polite to dress well in business settings and embrace silence whenever possible. Japanese people will be very offended if you point using your index finger. It's seen as very rude behavior. Also, touching a stranger by accident is greatly frowned upon. You should also avoid staring into someone else's eyes when talking to them. It is normal to just look at the ground or at the sky if you're conversing with others. Scratching your head, eyebrows, inhaling through clenched teeth, or tilting your head, will make others think you are not smart and should be avoided.
Similar to Mexico, in Russia, it is normal to stand close to someone when talking to them, and knowing your limits when drinking alcohol is very important. Being demonstrative with others is very normal. Giving others hugs, back slaps, and kisses on the cheek is common. It's also important to arrive on time when going out to eat, and socializing with others after a meal. If you just leave right after, everyone else will probably think you are being rude. Try to avoid laughing loudly when meeting someone and referring to them as comrade. It's seen as very impolite. It is also impolite to turn down an offered drink, doing business over the phone, and wearing light or bright colors in a business setting.
In Australia, make sure to shake hands with everyone in the group of people you might meet. Arriving on time or even a few minutes early for dinner is also polite. If you're eating at someone else's house, however, make sure to offer to clean up after the meal. Keeping your hands above the table, and your elbows off the table is important as well. Also, it's customary to be as straightforward as possible in any business setting. Winking at women is seen as extremely rude and should be avoided. Also, try to avoid talking about the treatment of Aboriginal people, and commenting on people's accents. The accents of people in Australia is often linked to their social class. If you can avoid giving the peace sign or the thumbs up hand gesture, it would benefit you greatly. It is seen as very offensive to do so in Australia.
So as you can see, when traveling to other countries, it is important to be aware of the nonverbal messages you are sending to the people around you, as well as other social etiquette customs. There are many different cultures around the world, and they all have their own rules and norms. Nonverbal communication is just as important as verbal communication and should not be forgotten no matter where you are.